Andres de AA Sports here with another video covering Mexican football and the Mexico national team, who just played their first of two games this month in March in the reopening of Estadio Azteca. The Mexico national team played against Portugal in Estadio Azteca, and the game ended in a 0-0 draw that, given Portugal enters these games as the number 5 ranked team in the world, is still a good result for Mexico. Aguirre played what was arguably the best possible starting lineup in this game, and the defense played pretty well and didn't concede as many chances to Portugal as many would have probably expected. This, along with the already tough atmosphere of playing in Estadio Azteca, Portugal offensively actually looked rather lackluster in this game. Mexico were also able to create one or two chances offensively, including Ormiga with a header that was almost a goal. However, no goals came from any of these chances and counterattacks created, and it resulted in both teams being in a stalemate and the game ending in a draw result. Again, this is actually a pretty solid result for Mexico, especially given they were not expected to win, and in fact, many expected Portugal to win this game. However, to my surprise, many of the Mexico fans in Estadio Azteca at the end of the first half, in the final 6 minutes of the game, and at the final whistle, actually booed their own team and even shouted "Ole" and the El Grito de Portero at their own players, not liking how the team performed. And seeing this left me with similar opinions that I had after Mexico's games versus Ecuador and Uruguay in October and November of 2025, when the fans did this exact same thing. Did certain aspects of the Mexico national team's performance in this game merit fans to feel a little disappointed? Or maybe not disappointed, but wanting more? Yes. However, it is not justified for fans to boo their performance overall and this final result against an elite team like Portugal. And I will explain that in my performance grades for the team in this video. Final score, 0-0, scoreless draw. The Mexico national team ties versus Portugal in the reopening of Estadio Azteca. With that, here are the Mexico national team's performance grades for this game. Goalkeeper, A-. Raul Talarangel was the starting goalkeeper, and he made a couple of easy saves in the game, but outside of that, he wasn't really put to the test where he had to step up and make a big save. Nevertheless, he went through the motions well without making any major mistakes or holding onto the ball too long. This is now the 4th straight game he has played as the starting goalkeeper for Mexico, and this suggests that head coach Javier Aguirre prefers Talarangel as the starting goalkeeper going forward. Whether this is for better or worse, only time and Rangel's performances going forward will tell. With that, while I would still prefer Guillermo Ochoa over Rangel, I will say that based on his performance in this game, Rangel did not deserve the boos or the fans giving him El Grito, the goalkeeper chant, that he received in the final 5 minutes of the game. I don't think Rangel deserved that. He still played a pretty clean game for all things considered. Defenders, A. Johan Vazquez and Cesar Montes were the starting center backs and did very well keeping the Portuguese offense outside of the box area. Johan Vazquez had arguably the best defensive play of the game, with a great tackle that cleared the ball out of play and stopped a dangerous chance for Portugal. Together, Montes and Vazquez combined for 2 tackles won, 4 clearances, and 3 interceptions, and 4 recoveries of the ball. They will without a doubt be the starting center backs in the World Cup for Mexico, as they are the 2 best center backs Mexico have right now. Israel Reyes and Jesus Gallardo were the starting fullbacks for Mexico, and they both had really good performances in this game. Reyes played the full game and was arguably the best defender in this game, with 3 tackles won, 2 clearances, 2 interceptions, and 1 opposing shot blocked. He also won every aerial duel for the ball that he was involved in. Israel Reyes is a versatile defender who adds depth to the defense, being able to play both the center back and right back positions very well. Jesus Gallardo was the starting left back, and he also had a very solid performance with 2 tackles won and a clearance. He was also able to push up with possession of the ball, and he had a great moment in the second half where he beat João Cancelo in a ground duel to create a good scoring chance. Unfortunately, nothing came of it. This performance, as well as in the game versus Iceland last month, have been 2 of the best performances we have seen from Gallardo in a long time amid his great form with Toluca. The only thing he will need to be mindful of going forward is to maintain a cool and level head, as he got a yellow card in the second half after he and Neto nearly got into a full-on fight in the first 10 minutes of the second half. Everardo Lopez entered the game in the 78th minute as a substitute for Gallardo, and while he didn't have an elite performance, he still held his own well and helped the defense keep Portugal scoreless. In his first 3 games for Mexico's senior team so far, Lopez looks like the left side equivalent of Israel Reyes. He is a versatile defender that plays both the center back and fullback positions on the left side of the field and adds good depth to the defense. With Chiquete ruled out for the World Cup with a broken ankle injury, Everardo Lopez is looking like the next best player who will likely take his place in the World Cup, and it's well deserved for him. Midfielders B. Eric Lira, Álvaro Fidalgo, and Ober Vargas were the starting midfielders in this game. Eric Lira had a quiet game offensively and in terms of ball possession, but had a solid game as the defensive midfielder who helped the center backs defend with 1 tackle, 1 clearance, and 3 recoveries of the ball. Álvaro Fidalgo made his national team debut as one of the starting midfielders, and while he failed to capitalize and score on the 1v1 play in the first half, he still had a very solid first game for Mexico. He controlled the pace of the game in the first half and played a big part in the ball possession Mexico was able to hold in this game, with 27 accurate passes, including 4 accurate long ball passes and a pass accuracy percentage of 96%. Ober Vargas also had a very solid performance similar to Fidalgo, with 2 ground duels won, 13 accurate passes, and a pass accuracy rate of 87%. He also played a big part in the ball possession Mexico had in the first half. And you could see the difference having these players in the midfield made in comparison to the players who came in as substitutes to replace them. Tronco Rodriguez came into the game in the second half as a substitute, and all the positive momentum and form that the midfield had and showed in this game completely died when that happened. It completely died. He went through the motions of being the tronco he is and only touched the ball 20 times, losing possession several times, and it is as if he is allergic to making good passes because he could barely make a single good pass. And defensively, he was non-existent at best. The moment he entered the game, Mexico were forced to play more defensively, resulting in Mexico having only 34% of ball possession in the game overall. Most of it in the first half before Tronco Rodriguez entered the game as a substitute. Fidalgo and Ober Vargas both showed that the Mexico national team is better without Tronco Rodriguez. And if an injury is the only thing at this point that results in Tronco being excluded from the team and the roster going forward, I hate to say it, but so be it. We are all fed up and done seeing this awful player be allowed to fail in every single game he plays in. It is clear that he is not just one of the worst midfielders on this current team, but possibly one of the worst players in Mexico national team history. And he should not be called up going forward. Tronco Rodriguez absolutely deserved to be booed tonight. As for Eric Sanchez, he entered the game as a substitute in the 60th minute and was also pretty non-existent offensively. To his defense, I do think part of this was also because, well, he was stuck playing alongside Tronco Rodriguez, who for most of the game was just running around like a lost squirrel. But still, while it was not a bad performance from Chiquito Sanchez, he also didn't have any notable good moments, resulting in Sanchez having a very average performance. Chiquito Sanchez was very average in his performance on the field. The starting midfielders played well, but unfortunately, they were either substituted out too soon from the game or the players who replaced them didn't play well. Offensive front, B. Raul Jimenez, as expected, was the starting striker, and Piojo Alvarado was the starting winger on the right side, while Brian Gutierrez, who normally plays as an attacking midfielder, played as the left winger. Starting off with Raul Jimenez, he definitely struggled in the first 20 minutes of the game, and that was partly because Portugal's defense also did not give up a lot of space that Mexico could work with. Give credit to Portugal, their defense was solid in this game. However, as the game progressed, Raul started to become more active offensively. With that, given he was getting better as the game progressed, I was both surprised and disappointed to see him get substituted off in the 60th minute. This was a mistake by Javier Aguirre. Germán Berterame entered the game as the substitute replacing Raul Jimenez, and in his 30 minutes of play, only touched the ball 11 times. He was non-existent and did not play well. This in particular was very frustrating because Berterame should not have even been called up due to his poor form and bad start to the season with Inter Miami. Berterame's performance deserved to be booed and criticized by fans, and the fact that he was substituted on before Hormiga Gonzalez, who is in much better form, was criminal. Hormiga Gonzalez entered the game in the final 12 minutes, and he made an instant impact on the field, with Mexico being more active offensively and creating counterattacks. Hormiga was also involved in the team's best scoring opportunity, but he unfortunately missed the header opportunity he had. That is one that Hormiga definitely wishes he could turn back the clock and run back. Still, it was a solid 16 minutes of play from Hormiga, where it became very clear that not only should he have been substituted into the game earlier, but he should have played alongside Raul in a two-striker strategy to create a stronger offense. Moving on to the wingers, starting off with Piojo Alvarado. Offensively, this was yet another lackluster performance from him, where he failed to provide a single shot on target or cross into the box. Fortunately, he made up for his inability to contribute offensively with a good defensive performance where he really locked down Nuno Mendes, one of the best left backs who currently plays for Paris Saint-Germain. However, while Piojo may be great defensively, at this point, we have to say that he is no longer good enough because he is not the solution in the winger positions offensively. With that, whether it's Osiel Herrera, Alexis Dominguez, or Hugo Camberos, Mexico needs to call up a new right winger in May and move on from Piojo Alvarado. Richard Ledesma would replace him on the field in the 60th minute, taking his place as a winger instead of playing his normal position as a right back. He was again solid defensively, but he never had the chance to contribute offensively, given Mexico was falling back and playing defense for most of the second half. As for the left wingers, Brian Gutierrez was the starting left winger, and it is a shame and also a criminal decision that he only played in the first half of this game. He had 4 accurate passes in the attacking third of the field, a very good pass accuracy percentage, and looked confident with the ball, willing to take shots when given the space. He should have stayed on the field for the second half, and with a second striker, I think he would have been able to create a lot more opportunities. Surprisingly, Vega did not play in this game, which suggests that Aguirre really doesn't have trust or confidence in his wingers, which is why Gutierrez, an attacking midfielder, was moved up to play as a winger. Gutierrez might not be a locked starting player right now, but based on his performances so far, he should absolutely be called up in May and maybe even for the World Cup. He has been very good for Mexico in his first 4 games with the team. Julian Quiñones played the second half of the game in Gutierrez's place, and it was great to see him finally get another opportunity that is well deserved for him. However, it was very, very frustrating to see him be forced to play not even like a winger like Gutierrez was, but even more outside of his normal position than that, as an attacking midfielder that would help defend in this game, especially given Tronco Rodriguez also entered the game at the start of the second half, only to have another awful performance. Despite playing outside of his normal position as a striker and playing as this weird attacking midfield position, he still managed to have notable good moments with the ball, with 2 chances created, including the opportunity involving Hormiga, 3 successful dribbles, and all of his long ball passes being accurate. He should have started alongside Raul as a second striker, and I hope he is given that opportunity. If he is still playing relatively well outside of his normal position, Quiñones will surely be even better as a striker alongside Raul. He should be part of the World Cup roster and set up to succeed in his normal position. Head coach, B. Amid the current injury crisis the team is dealing with right now, outside of the goalkeeper debate between Ochoa and Rangel, I think Aguirre established the best starting lineup Mexico could have possibly had for this game with this roster. He put most of the best players in the starting 11 and established a strong defense, and the first half saw the team play really good football. But the substitutions Aguirre made in the second half, amid Portugal not playing well, were awful. He had Julian Quiñones playing outside of his normal position. It is crazy how he can't build the offense around a player like him alongside Raul. He substituted out Gutierrez, Obed Vargas, and Raul way too early from the game, and allows Tronco Rodriguez to fail in another game with his non-existent performance, immediately forcing Mexico to play defense. And instead of putting Hormiga Gonzalez in earlier, even alongside Raul Jimenez, he takes Raul out from the game and puts in an out-of-form Berterame. And if you're making Ledesma a right back play as a right winger, then Piojo should not be called up anymore. The defense played great, but Vasco Aguirre's substitutions were counterproductive in a way that made the offense worse, when Mexico could have and should have made substitutions strengthening the offense amid Portugal looking out of their element. Aguirre saw that the score was 0-0 and made bad substitutions and coached in a way where he was trying to hold the draw result and not to lose the game, instead of making substitutions and coaching in a way to try and win the game like he should have in the second half. Going forward, Aguirre needs to adjust his system and style of play to incorporate more offensively. His defensive system is very good, and keeping this team scoreless for 90 minutes, along with the great defensive performance versus Japan, has proven just that. However, in order to win games and get 3 points in the World Cup, Mexico needs to be able to score goals. Look for the team to work on this and for Mexico to potentially try establishing a more offensive midfield, or even a 2-striker formation again. And now moving on to the bonus grades for this game, which will include the fan base, the Mexican Football Federation, and the team's new jersey. Starting off with the fan base, B grade. I give credit to the Mexican fans in Mexico City who attended the game in big numbers, which could not have made the reopening of Estadio Azteca any better. The broadcast showed many fans already entering the stadium and waiting to watch the players warm up and prepare on the field. And during the pregame preparations and warm-ups, the Televisa broadcast showed the Portugal players step onto the field, and the players and coaches all paused and pulled out their phones to take photos and videos of the field and the stadium before starting warm-ups. They were visibly starstruck by Estadio Azteca, the stadium's history, and how big the stadium is. And because they felt starstruck, they felt the weight and pressure of the moment and this game. And with the fans booing the Portugal players every time they had the ball, it made them feel this pressure even more. And you could tell by their performance that they were nervous and that the Portugal players were not comfortable in this game. And having to deal with playing in this in the high altitude of Estadio Azteca and Ciudad de Mexico, along with the tough away atmosphere the fans created, Portugal did not play well and they looked out of their element because they were. And this benefited Mexico, whose players are accustomed to playing in the high altitude and tough fan environment that Estadio Azteca has. With that, I give credit to the Mexico fans in Ciudad de Mexico who attended the game in big numbers, selling out the stadium and tickets, and making it an uncomfortable away atmosphere for Portugal to play in. The fans did well playing their part as the 12th player. However, the reason I am giving the fan base a B grade for this game is because I am not in agreement with fellow Mexico fans in the stadium booing their own national team at the halftime break or in the final minutes of the game and at the final whistle. Watching the game on Televisa's broadcast, I was initially very shocked to hear the fans booing this draw result at the halftime break and at the final whistle. And after thinking about it while writing my notes for this video, I came to a final opinion similar to the one I had when this happened after Mexico tied versus Ecuador in Guadalajara and versus Uruguay in Torreon, which eventually some of the Mexico players themselves called the fans out on. And my opinion on the booing we saw from the fans in this game is this. Did certain aspects of the Mexico national team's performance in this game merit fans to feel a little disappointed, or maybe not disappointed, but wanting more? Yes. And certain decisions, things and aspects from this game, such as Aguirre's substitutions, poor adjustments, and poor individual performances from certain players, like Aguirre playing Tronco Rodriguez, who easily was the worst player on the field, or Berterame, who also had a bad game. Yeah, things like that are justified being booed by the fans. However, it is not justified for fans to boo their performance overall and this final result against an elite team like Portugal. It is not fair or justified for Mexico fans to boo the Mexico national team and its players for a 0-0 draw versus Portugal, especially when many people, including some pessimistic Mexico fans or those who just hate watch for clout, probably expected Mexico to lose this game. For fans to be upset about the idea of a draw result against the number 5 ranked team in the world is extremely toxic. While Mexico fans can boo when the criticism is fair and justified, at the same time, we should not have the mentality of si ganas todavía te critican, si empatas te critican más, y si pierdes te crucifican. It's a toxic mentality as fans to have. Mexico fans should be happy with how the Mexico national team performed in this game and see it as a positive overall. This was still a solid result, and a draw is better than losing the game. And the team being able to hold their own and not lose against an elite team like Portugal, the UEFA Nations League champions, this is actually something positive they can build up on for the World Cup, and I hope and expect the team to use this result to do just that and build up positive momentum. Moving on to the second bonus grade category, the Mexican Football Federation. A- grade. Give credit to the Mexican Football Federation for organizing this game. Not only did they organize and schedule a game in Estadio Azteca, the official home stadium of the Mexico national team, before the World Cup, but they organized a game against an elite team. This was an opportunity for the Mexico national team to put themselves to the test in front of their home crowd. It was a game against a strong opponent that elevated the team's playing and skill level, a game that they can build up and learn from, and it was an opportunity for fans in Ciudad de Mexico who might not attend any of the World Cup games for Mexico this summer to see the team play in Estadio Azteca before the World Cup in the team's official home stadium, in all the stadium's history and glory with the new renovations completed. Give credit to the Mexican Football Federation for organizing and scheduling this game, as this game versus Portugal achieved all 4 of these goals, and I hope the Mexican Football Federation continues to do this going forward in the future, as more games like this in Mexico in Estadio Azteca will continue to expand on these goals and improve the team. Now, the reason I am specifically giving the Federation an A- is because of the jerseys the Federation and the Mexico national team chose to use for this game. Several hours prior to the game, it was revealed and confirmed that the Mexico national team would not wear their iconic home colors and their green home jersey, so they could debut their new white away jersey that they will use for 2026 and in the World Cup. Many Mexico fans, myself included, thought this decision not to not wear their home jerseys for this game was a little disappointing. And it's not that the away jersey is bad. It's actually a nice jersey and it looks great. But it's a little disappointing given Mexico is playing at home in Estadio Azteca, their home stadium, and by choosing to wear their away jerseys, they let Portugal play in their home jerseys and made it a little bit easier for Portugal as the away team because they weren't 100% treated like the away team by having to play in their own away jersey while playing away in Mexico. While Mexico's away jersey looks great and looks really good on the players, they should have worn their green. They should have worn their green home jersey for this game and the reopening of Estadio Azteca, and saved the debut of their away jersey for their next game versus Belgium. Fortunately, the Mexico national team is expected to play in their home jerseys for the opening game of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, so we will see the team play in Estadio Azteca while wearing their awesome green home jerseys soon. Which brings me to my final bonus grade in Mexico's new away jersey. And for the away jersey, I am giving Adidas and the Mexico national team an A+ grade. Mexico's 2026 away jersey is a white jersey with a subtle pattern on the shirt inspired by grecas, the motif patterns and designs reminiscent of ancient indigenous temples in Mexico. I really like how the grecas design is all over the shirt, and just like the home jersey's design, the grecas pattern is also on the back of the shirt. The collar, the Adidas 3 stripes on the shoulders, and the sleeve cuffs are red and dark green in the tricolor, and this dark green and red trim makes the away jersey look clean with the classic Mexico tricolor colors of white, green, and red. And with the Mexico national team badge in dark green, and Adidas including the classic trefoil logo in dark green with the team badge, this makes for a clean away jersey that looks great. The only 2 things I don't like about the jersey that I wish were better is the Grecas design and where the player number is on the front of the jersey. Starting off with the Grecas design, which looks good, but I wish the design was a little more visible on the shirt and not as subtle as it is. I think if the pattern was in a shade of light gray that went well with the primarily white base of the jersey, the pattern would stand out more and look better on the away jersey. This is a small criticism in regards to the Greca's design, but it still looks good. And my second small criticism is the location of the player number and where it is on the front of the jersey. For the away jerseys this year, Adidas moved the player numbers to the right side under the Adidas trefoil logo. This is something Adidas did for all the away jerseys they made, and Mexico's is no different. However, I think for Mexico's away jersey, it would have looked better to have the player number on the front in the center of the jersey where your heart would be, like how the player number is on the home jersey. The same could also be said for most of the away jerseys made by Adidas this year. These are my only two critiques with Mexico's away jersey, but the jersey still looks good. And once again, Adidas and the Mexico national team did not disappoint when it comes to their World Cup jerseys. I just wish the team wore their home jerseys for this game instead, simply because they were playing at home in Estadio Azteca, but I definitely like the away jersey and would have loved for them to debut this jersey versus Belgium. Final score, 0-0. The Mexico national team gets a good draw result versus Portugal with a good defensive performance from the team. And for an overall team grade for this game, I will give the Mexico national team and this game a B+ grade. While there was definitely more to be desired offensively, Mexico still had a solid performance in their first game back in Estadio Azteca with a good defensive performance. Now, I know many haters or toxic fans will quickly try to argue that this was a game without Cristiano Ronaldo and say that Mexico would have lost if he were able to play in this game. While Ronaldo is an incredible player, I disagree with these opinions trying to use that to discredit this result, because come the start of the game, you play against the opposing team that shows up on the field, and the Portugal team that played in this game is still a very good team, with or without Ronaldo, with many of their best players on the roster and playing in this game, like Vitinha, Bruno Fernandes, Nuno Mendes, and Conceição. And for Mexico to hold their own well, despite being seen as the less talented team on paper, this is a very good result overall and something positive for Mexico to build on going forward as the team looks ahead to the World Cup. Andres de AA Sports, that will be all for this video, for this Mexico national team video. It was great to see the Mexico national team return to Estadio Azteca, and I look forward to when they will play the opening game of the World Cup there versus South Africa. But until then, their next game will be on Tuesday versus Belgium at Soldier Field in Chicago, where hopefully the Mexico national team can manage to have another solid performance and achieve a good result as well. That will be all for this Mexico national team video. Leave a like and subscribe to support the channel, and put your opinions on this game in the comments below. Stay tuned in for more Mexico national team and Mexico women's national team content and videos on the channel. And with that, thanks for watching and listening. Viva Mexico!